All right, everybody, welcome back. This is the next part of our fancy cup versus regular cup investigation. We're going to be taking the data that we used yesterday that we collected and put in our data table, and we're going to be creating a double line graph out of it. So the first step that you need to do is download the graph template from Schoology. Next, you need to set up your X and Y axis. So your x-axis is going to be the horizontal axis. This is going to have the time that we recorded our temperature at. So you're going to want to number by tens. Okay, so you're going to want to evenly space out your graph lines and number by 10. So we'll have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. On the y-axis, this is going to be the degrees temperature in Celsius, and we're going to number by ones. So we're starting at 0 in the bottom, we're going up by 1. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When we graph things, just like you've been doing in math, we're always going to start with our x-axis. So let's say we had an initial temperature for our fancy cup. The initial temperature, let's say, was 2 degrees Celsius. So if I wanted to graph this, I would first go over to the 0 because that's the initial temperature, and then I would go up to the 2 and I would put a dot. Okay, so here's going to be my initial temperature. Then let's say at 10 minutes, the temperature went up to 3 degrees Celsius. So I'd go over to 10, and then I would go over to 3. So I'm going to put my data point in there. Okay, so here's my data point. And then let's say after 20 minutes, my temperature went up to 6 degrees. So I'd go over to 20 and go up to 6 and over, and I'd put my dot. So I'd be right about here. Okay? And then let's say at 30 minutes, the temperature was 7 degrees Celsius. Let's say at 40 minutes, it stayed at 7 degrees Celsius. And at 50 minutes, it went up to 8 degrees Celsius. The next step with a line graph is to connect all our dots. So we're just going to draw a line to connect our dots. So this would be a graph of our temperature for the fancy cup. So if we're using a double line graph, we're going to have to make a second graph that's going to represent the data for our regular cup. So let's say that our regular cup started at a temperature of 1 degrees. So let's say it started right about here. And let's say at 10 minutes, it was also at 1 degree Celsius. Let's say at 20 minutes, it was 2 degrees Celsius. And then at 30 minutes, let's say it was 3 degrees Celsius. And at 40 minutes, it was 4 degrees Celsius. And at 50 minutes, let's say it jumped up to 6 degrees Celsius. So all I was doing is graphing my points. So I'm going to connect my points together after that. And so now I have a double line graph. I have my fancy cup represented by the red line, and I have my regular cup represented by the green line. So you're going to take the data from the previous assignment that we filled in our data table, and you want to use that data table and turn it into a double line graph. So quick review, remember you start by labeling your x-axis, your y-axis, use your data table and go over as far as you need to in time, and then go up to the correct temperature and put your dot. Once you have all the dots, you connect them together. So once we have this graph, this is really going to give us a much better visual of the results of our experiment. If you have any questions, send me a message in Schoology, and good luck.